The 2026 Dutch MotoGP has once again shaken the paddock with a controversy far more explosive than the race results themselves. Aprilia's boss erupted in anger, openly accusing Marc Márquez after Marco Bezzecchi suffered yet another disastrous weekend. The incident immediately fueled speculation that Márquez's psychological pressure and mind games had shattered not only Bezzecchi's confidence, but also his performance. Did the world champion deliberately use mental tactics to bring down his rival? Or were Aprilia's accusations simply an emotional reaction to another painful failure? Let's discuss. Heading into the 2026 Dutch MotoGP at the TT Circuit Assen, Marc Márquez made what initially sounded like a simple and respectful comment. The Ducati Lenovo team rider described Marco Bezzecchi as the fastest rider throughout the entire weekend. According to Márquez, the Aprilia racing star had been the most consistently quick rider from the practice sessions all the way through qualifying. He even stated publicly that, based on the pace he had shown, Bezzecchi was the strongest favourite to win Sunday's Grand Prix. That statement immediately grabbed the attention of the media. Some viewed it as a genuine compliment toward a rival, while others believed there was a much deeper meaning behind Márquez's words. Among MotoGP observers, Marc Márquez has long been recognised as one of the riders who understands the importance of psychological warfare better than anyone. He doesn't defeat his rivals with speed alone. He also applies mental pressure that can shake their confidence long before the starting lights go out. By naming Bezzecchi as the clear favourite, the spotlight instantly shifted to the Italian rider. Suddenly, everyone expected Bezzecchi to win. The media couldn't stop talking about him. Fans began treating him as the overwhelming favourite. The pressure that had previously been shared among several championship contenders suddenly rested on one man's shoulders. In an incredibly tight World Championship battle, that kind of expectation is never easy to handle. When the race got underway, Marco Bezzecchi proved that Márquez's praise wasn't unfounded. From the opening laps, the Aprilia rider looked genuinely competitive. He stayed with the leading group and repeatedly showed the pace needed to fight for a podium finish. The Aprilia RSGP also looked extremely competitive around the fast-flowing layout of Assen, a circuit that has traditionally suited bikes with strong corner speed. Bezzecchi displayed remarkable bravery under braking and maintained an impressive race pace throughout the early stages. Everything pointed toward him having a legitimate chance of winning the race. But as the pressure intensified and the battle entered its decisive phase, everything changed in an instant. While fighting to hold his position at the front, Bezzecchi made a costly mistake. The Italian rider lost control of his motorcycle and crashed out. His race came to an abrupt end. No points, no podium, and no opportunity to extend his advantage in the championship standings. The crash was an enormous setback because it marked Bezzecchi's third consecutive retirement from a Sunday Grand Prix. He had previously failed to score points in both Hungary and Brno. 3 straight race weekends without adding a single point have transformed what once appeared to be a comfortable championship position into one that is now under serious threat. The advantage he had spent weeks building has gradually disappeared. The momentum that once belonged to Aprilia has now shifted toward its rivals. Bezzecchi's latest disappointment could not have come at a worse time. While he walked away empty-handed, his championship rivals capitalised on the opportunity by closing the gap in the standings. What had begun to look like a title fight dominated by only a handful of riders has suddenly become wide open once again. The points separating the top 5 riders have grown even tighter, meaning that a single mistake could completely reshape the battle for the 2026 MotoGP World Championship. For Aprilia Racing, the outcome at Assen was undoubtedly a devastating blow. They missed a golden opportunity to extend their advantage while maintaining the positive momentum they had built since the start of the season. It's no surprise that speculation has emerged suggesting the Aprilia camp is growing increasingly frustrated as their star rider continues to face setback after setback. Marco Bezzecchi's failure to score points once again prompted Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola to speak out. He believes Marc Márquez's pre-race comments, in which he labelled Bezzecchi as the leading favourite, may have indirectly placed even greater pressure on the Aprilia rider. Rivola described Márquez as a rider who is highly experienced at playing psychological games. According to him, the praise from the 8-time world champion may have been a subtle way of shifting the weight of expectations onto one of his biggest rivals. Marc knows exactly how to play these situations. Sometimes, a compliment can become the greatest source of pressure for your opponent, Rivola said. Even so, Rivola stopped short of directly blaming Márquez for Bezzecchi's crash at Assen. He simply emphasized that in the fight for the MotoGP World Championship, battles are not fought only on the racetrack, but also through psychological warfare before the lights even go out. So far, there is no evidence that Márquez's comments directly caused Bezzecchi's incident, although Rivola's remarks have certainly added even more intensity to the championship battle. Meanwhile, Marc Márquez once again demonstrated the qualities that continue to make him one of the strongest title contenders. Although he wasn't the most dominant rider throughout the race, the Ducati star maximised every opportunity that came his way. He refused to force the issue when conditions weren't favourable. Instead, Márquez focused on collecting as many points as possible while patiently waiting for his rivals to make mistakes. Once again, that strategy paid off. As his championship rivals began dropping valuable points, Márquez remained consistently in positions that kept him firmly in the title fight. This approach has been one of the 8-time world champion's greatest strengths for years. He understands that winning a world championship isn't determined solely by the number of race victories, but also by the ability to avoid costly mistakes every single race weekend. What has captured the attention of many fans isn't just the race result itself. The biggest talking point is how Marc Márquez builds pressure on his rivals. He doesn't rely on provocative comments. He doesn't launch direct attacks or create open conflict. Instead, Márquez chooses words that sound like genuine compliments. Yet behind those compliments lies enormous pressure for his competitors. The moment a rider is labelled as the favourite, public expectations instantly skyrocket. Even the smallest mistake immediately comes under intense scrutiny. In a sport as mentally demanding as MotoGP, psychological strength is often just as important as technical ability. That's why many observers still consider Márquez one of the most dangerous riders on the grid, even before the race has even begun. The results at Assen have made the 2026 MotoGP Championship standings even more exciting. Bezzecchi has lost valuable momentum, while Aprilia now faces the challenge of improving its performance. Marc Márquez has once again closed the gap to the championship leaders, and several other riders are also moving closer at the top of the standings. With the points gap becoming increasingly tight, every race now carries enormous importance. A single mistake could destroy a rider's championship hopes, while one perfect weekend could dramatically reshape the standings. What do you think? Were Marc Márquez's pre-race comments truly nothing more than a compliment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.